America, my name is Osei-Frimpong, and I'm going to tell you right now the problem with the new Emmett Till movie. I want to be very clear. They made a new movie kind of lionizing the mother's decisions on what to do after her son was executed down in the South, and that she had an open casket in her funeral and she wanted the world to see what they did to her baby, and that's all very heroic, especially all the people who said that she shouldn't do this and make this a big deal and told her to sweep it under the rug. And while that might seem heroic, the real story of Emmett Till's murder is of the white woman who put a hit out on Emmett Till, who's still alive. You need to serve her. You need to try her. Bill Cosby can do time. She can do time too. I'm not a huge fan of prison, so I don't know if she needs to do time, but she needs the truth told to her. And we need the truth told about her, lest we be confused about who we are, right? And this is how we get confused as a people, right? We take the Emmett Till story and we'll say well, it'll be a story about black woman magic. It'll be a story about the mother, the heroic mother who made this case. And that actually is a way of getting people through flattery, of confusing people through flattery, about confusing the fight through flattery, when what the story should be is about what is it about this white woman that allowed her to put a hit on a 14-year-old boy and then, be free. She got to put a hit on a guy. And without remorse. It was a socially sanctioned hit. She just pointed to that one. Made me feel some sort of way. And for that, he's executed. Turns out he didn't even no, she just decided he should be killed and he was killed. What does that mean? That's the wickedness that needs to be explored, because that's what we don't understand as America. But instead, they'll get you thinking of how heroic the mother is because they love flattering black people with an understanding of the real story is how heroic this mother is. And what, you don't support black women? Yes, I support black women, but not to the detriment of confusing what the story is. And the story is the necessary piece of this is what is it about this white woman and white womanhood in general that allowed her to put a hit on this boy? And have we actually redressed that? Right? That is the story. That's what got him killed. A white woman pointing a finger at him. And we still make those mass produce. We make those kind of white women the way Iowa grows corn, right? So we still mass produce those, that quality of character. And we haven't really done anything to redress what that means. We sure haven't put to justice. George Zimmerman at least got to try. What we need to try her and find the truth about with what kind of intent did she point the finger? And what that means for us as a nation, and our inability to grapple with that is what we need to do through our media. But instead, they'll distract you with the heroic black mother who sure did the best with a bad hand, but we need to talk about who's dealing this bad hand, right? And that's the story. Now, when you want to make that second movie, people say well, we already had an Emmett Till movie, right? And that's how they get you. That's how they get you. They take up all the energy with flattery, so you never actually get to the story, right? And the story is in the white woman who pointed the finger, right? And that's the perfidy we need to and that's the unresolved kind of, and not the response to the murder, but what are the conditions that enable the murder to be what it was to begin with, right? That's the unresolved problem that functionally allows Black America to remain an internal colony within a greater state. They're trying to confuse you with stories of Black heroism to distort the problem. And the problem is how gender operates in a way that ends up with a peculiar kind of Black male vulnerability, where a 14-year-old boy can be executed at the behest of a woman who just felt in some sort of way, right? So what this means, the story of what this means for patriarchy, right? That's the story, because this is a story of patriarchy. It's just that we're not used to actually understanding what patriarchy means. It's a family relationship that punishes outgroup males the most. And so the patriarchal family, the patriarchal caste is the whites in the South. And that's how it was allowed for her to point, and then the guys feel they're duty bound as patriarchs to it's all a family game to execute the boy, right? So you have to understand this as a story of patriarchy. You have to understand this as a white woman's role in patriarchy, and you have to understand this as like justice that's yet to be served, because we don't even know how to talk about the problem, and that's all being kind of wrapped up in this black woman magic story about this heroic mother, who sure was a heroine, but like isn't really the most like pressing part of this story. It's just a story that gets white people off the hook. And it's always easy to get white people off the hook by telling black people to think about other black people and not the whites. And that's why I spend a lot of my time on this show saying, black people, our problem is the whites, right? So if you support what I'm doing, go ahead and go to www.funkyacademic.com and kick in $5, $15, or $50 a month. And I'll keep doing what I'm doing. I have a different show planned on Thursday, but I just wanted to tell you that this story is part of the kind of 3-card Monty, right? That's a part of the misdirection. They'll get you saying, yeah, the real important part is the mother. Yeah, black people, we need more stories about black women. No, we need stories about a particular kind of white women and like what that means for black life, right? Our problem, like, so that's a story that needs to be told. The Carol Bryant story. Emmett Till, in terms of like, if you want to tell a story about Emmett Till's execution, it needs to be focused on Carol Bryant and like the America that made her and enables her to point the trigger and to pull to literally point. Didn't even have to have a gun or a trigger, just point and end up with an area Negro dead, right? So that is a story that needs to be told, and story we don't told because that ties in gender and race and patriarchy in ways that we're not actually comfortable with. But is nonetheless the vibrant culture of America. Thank you for your time. Don't fall for this misdirection. They'll flatter you into thinking about yourself to take the stink off them. I'll say that they'll use black woman magic to hide white woman dirt. And that is the problem we're facing right now. All right, I'll see you Thursday. Take care. If you like what I'm doing, go ahead and go to funkyacademic.com and do what you do. Peace.